in the main event, Mateusz Gamrot defeating Arman Tsarukyan somewhat controversially. However, he did win unanimously, 48-47 on all three judges' scorecards. It was an incredible scramble fest for the first couple of rounds, and then Gamrot's wrestling kind of sort of started to take over, but there's a question about the striking. So, first thing to you, BC, is number one, there is some controversy about the scoring. How did you score it? And two, your biggest takeaway from the fight is...
Well, let me hit you with the biggest takeaway first. Look, how great was this fight? And
So
fights
good.
are different. And fight of the year contenders, which I'm not saying this necessarily is, but it could be if you like that. They can be different styles. It doesn't have to be sloppy brawl. It could be high-speed chess. This was just a high-speed, technical, brilliant fight. I mean, Luke, am I right in saying this? We said coming in it was a hardcore special. But just before I tell you my score, how much do you look at this and say that was a beautiful piece of mixed martial arts?
It's impossible to deny it, and more to the point, very quickly, I would just say it gives me such hope for the future of MMA. If this is what
Yes.
guys are doing basically outside the top 10, my God, we are in for a delightful future.
Okay, so back to the fight. How who should have won? How did you score? I mean, as much as there are close fights, I put this one as close as you can get. I don't really know who truly won it. How did I score it when I watched it in real time, although I knew who had won, which sometimes can change it if you're catching a fight late. Did I like 3-2 in the end for Gamrot? Yes. I do know that there were at least 2, maybe even 3 rounds in which it could have gone either way. And obvious when they're canceling out each other's wrestling like they were in the first half of the fight at such a high speed pace, you're sort of like, okay, well, whose jabs were better? What about Tsarukyan spinning back kicks? Those were impressive. I do agree 1 and 2 Tsarukyan. I agree on that, Luke, okay? 3 Gamrot. I agree on that. 4, yeah, I like Gamrot again. Would you agree with me and say the 5th round is the most contentious one, or are you not on that page?
No, I have round 4 as the most contentious. Round 5
Okay.
I gave to Gamrot.
Okay. At the end of the day, though, if you have to have something to separate them, here's what I liked a lot about what Gamrot did, Luke. He settled in as a counter striker from the southpaw stance early in the fight in the first 2 rounds. He had some success, but Tsarukyan was landing the bigger punches. I think once Tsarukyan in the second round really started to hit him hard with those body kicks, and in fact that pop was shotgun level. It was incredible to see them eat those hard strikes and just keep going in the flow. That kind of forced him not only back into an orthodox stance, but it kind of forced him to get on the offensive to counter that. And I think that's really where he not only sped up his wrestling attempts and really began to control things from a grappling sense, but from that orthodox stance, Luke, his jab and overhand right really started to put things together. I thought the 3rd round in particular was the best showcase of that. I thought he carried it into the 4th round, although I understand what you're saying. It was so close in the end, it could have gone either way. All I know is that these 2 fighters who we talked about coming in with the changeover in the lightweight division, Poirier, Gaethje, Tony, Conor, they're not getting any younger. Some of them have more juice left in the tank than not. But Luke, am I wrong? I'm putting both of these fellas pretty close to the level I have Islam Makhachev, who I know already beat Tsarukyan in an early but very good test for both. If these 3, as you sort of said, are sort of the future, forget about the sport, the future of this division. Damn, dude, could you see all 3 of those gentlemen winning a world title? I think the answer has to be yes, Luke. I absolutely love from this fight where lightweight is headed. And I want to open up the proceedings here by asking you a controversial question. I'm not sure I think any of those old guys can beat these 3 right now. I mean, could they? Yes. But would they? These 3 are Makhachev, Tsarukyan, Gamrot, and obviously they're pretty damn close in terms of, having fought each other and what we've seen. They are so damn technical. They have a backbone. They're tough. And obviously the gas tank shown by both of these 2 in this 5-round fight was just next level. Gamrot calls out Gaethje after, and we can get into that, and I love that call out. But this aging group of lightweights that are more of the action variety, but obviously are elite pound-for-pound nearish level fighters, I don't like their future against this next wave, because this next wave is coming on, Luke, and they don't seem to have holes in their game. Is that too much? Am I reacting to the moment of a great one-night stand and telling you I love you too soon here, Luke? I'm saying that these guys are coming on, and the future is now at lightweight.
I don't know. I don't know if I could say that they would. Well, I think I largely agree with you. I would say that they're not. There's definitely holes in their game. By the way, don't forget Guram Kutateladze, who already beat Gamrot. Right?
Oh, for sure.
Close fight too. That was all. I mean, again, all these guys, Tsarukyan, Gamrot, Kutateladze, like they're all neck and neck the whole time, which is what the fight really spoke to. And in fact, if you go back and watch Kutateladze and Gamrot, that one was neck and neck the whole time too. Different kind of fight, obviously, but you had the same similar kinds of dynamics in that way. So I totally agree that these guys, dude, when they start moving up the top 10, they're going to be just demolishing some of these guys who've been there a long time. And I think, by the way, it should be noted, I think some of those guys at the top, they know, like Chandler, by the way, signed the UFC at 34. He always said, I'm not here for a long time, I'm here for a good time. I think that they know that, like, they're on the way out, but that their time at the top is going to be probably more limited than not. So there is something to be said for that. But for me, I don't think it's fair to say that they don't have holes in their game. Like, they all have a lot of holes in their game. The good part about Tsarukyan is he really worked on his kicking game. Certainly, I thought, to your point, the body kicks and then forcing the stance switch was incredible. His defensive wrestling was good for 2 rounds, but Gamrot's ability to keep pushing past that was remarkable. So there are some questions there. Of course, we don't know how they're going to match up in terms of submissions, and I would love to see Tsarukyan versus Kutateladze down the road. But they definitely have some things to work on. It's just that you can see this next wave coming and all the things they're capable of doing, even being that far back in the pack. You're like, oh my God, the guys over there who aren't even here yet can already do those things. And these guys probably in some ways can't. It takes your breath away in terms of what the potential holds. But I want to focus in on the scoring if we can here. I want to tell you where I'm at and tell me what I'm missing here. It's not that I don't think that there's a case for Gamrot, even though I scored it 3 rounds to 2 for Tsarukyan. I just need to know what the judges are going to be looking for, right? All this time, they've been telling us impact, damage, immediate impact matters more than accumulative. Of course, there is effective grappling, but that's a function of whether or not you get subs or fight-ending scenarios or that kind of thing. There's virtually no ground and pound that Gamrot had from any of it. There was no subs of it. I mean, he was going for the throat one time. It was not close, hardly at all. So if that's what we're measuring, I just don't see how on earth you can give the round 4, to Gamrot when he got dropped clearly with the spinning back fist, which was especially proven true on the replay. If you get dropped with a shot, and granted, it wasn't like he got super rocked, but he got taken off of his feet. He also got taken off of his feet with leg kicks, and he visibly winced in pain from getting hit to the stomach. It's like, let me see if I understand this. You guys are telling us that damage, impact, and the immediate version of it is the most important, and the guy who clearly got outstruck is the guy who won the fight? If you wanted to go back 5, 6, 7, 8 years and say that criteria is the one that we're using where, control has a much more meaningful role, I don't have any problem with the Gamrot win. Under that condition, he should have won. But under the new one, it doesn't make any sense to me at all, and I frankly can't understand how round 4 can go to Gamrot given those conditions.
Okay, I remember that spinning back fist happened. It didn't land as hard and crazy flush as a normal one that, but obviously it dropped him, right? It was a flash knockdown. He got right back up. I get what you're saying. I remember in that moment thinking,
and he got numerically outstruck in that round, too.
He did, although let's not forget, though, Gamrot did come on in the final, 15, 20 seconds when they did let their hands go a bit. But I get what you're saying, and I almost want to say right now, Luke, We're in this, spinning toilet bowl with the MMA judging at the moment. It was like, okay, they changed the rules a while back. People overcorrected against wrestling. Now I feel like every week there's just some fights that aren't really making sense. And you can go letter of the law like we have on some of these fights and going, okay, letter of the law, it should have been this. But now more often than not, it's going against letter of the law. Look, do you feel like, well, I don't even have to ask you this. Yeah, I feel like judges are confused at the moment.
Yes.
I get what you're asking about round 4, and it's like, part of what I feel like, no, there wasn't from either side. There wasn't ground and pound. There wasn't extended submission attempts or threats. But I think some of that was how well they ultimately canceled each other out. I mean, this was as beautiful a constant transition of elite grappling and counter grappling techniques. And I mean, it was wild. It was as good as it gets. Does that mean that just automatically equals each other out? Or if Gamrot had more control overall, to your point, does it trump the one spinning back fist and the numbers? I guess the way you laid it out, it is hard to argue against that to the letter of the law. My problem is now I don't think every judge is doing the letter of the law. I'm not even sure every judge knows the letter of the law. Luke, we're going backwards every week.
I don't get it either. Again, it's not to me like, could you make a case for Gamrot depending on how you assess certain variables? Yes, of course. Yes, of course you can. And I have to say, it's impressive as shit that Gamrot, dude, those scrambles in the first 2 rounds, those are some of the best wrestling scrambles you'll see in MMA at any point in the MMA's history. I really mean that. Like, that level of ability is extraordinary. And when Gamrot was hoisting his leg for the treetop takedown, and Tsarukyan had that kind of flexibility and balance. Dude, that is like, you got to be. I was shocked watching how good that was. But for Gamrot to then take over late with the ability of control that he had there, and I'm the guy, by the way, to be clear, I value control. I do think it has value. But every week we get told, well, unless it leads to the X or Y, which would be, significant ground and pound that you can really assess, or, fight ending scenarios in terms of, well, the threats of submission, right? Then the control position doesn't really mean a whole lot. Okay, well, if that's the way you're going to judge it, I mean, I don't agree with that, but if that's the way you're going to judge it, then judge it that way. Judge it that way. You can't have a guy taken off of his feet with a shot and numerically outstruck. Then the other guy does well with control. I admit he did really well with control. I was blown away by that. And then award him the round. And by the way, to be clear about it, it was all three judges. All three judges agreed on all 5 rounds. They had 1-2 Tsarukyan, 3-5, 3-5, I should say. For Gamrot, it's like, dude, what the fuck what? Here's the thing. Look how confused we are. I honestly don't think that the judges are less confused. I honestly feel like we have gotten to a point where they don't unless it's like super clear, right? Super clear. This is not super clear. This is actually really hard to tell, and the way that they're judging it doesn't give me any clarity about it. I guess that's what I would say.
No, and you asked me who I thought won, and I said, out of any other fight, I feel like I'm not sure, and I kind of like Gamrot, but you just kind of in real time was sort of like, well, let me tell you this, and you're kind of right, Luke. So, could either guy have won in this case? Yes. Do I have trust in judging moving forward? No, I feel like they're more confused than ever, and there's a lot of other issues involved with scoring as well.